What's going on, guys? Tony here, the Tony C. Davis Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we are here live and with Mr. Cortez Hustle. Cortez Hustle Springer. How you doing, my brother?
Doing extremely well, Tony. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you, man. Thanks for having me.
Brother, I definitely appreciate you. Ladies and gents, if you followed for a little while, you may know I'm in the process of trying to figure out if I'm going to rebrand my show totally or just keep it going in this direction. But I have to do something. And I came across Cortez a couple of weeks ago on TikTok. Now, he and I have been friends for quite a while. I've known him for quite a
Mhm.
while, but I mentioned, doing something. And he commented. I said, that's the guy I got to reach out to. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Cortez, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Excited as we getting ready to go into this new year, man. A lot of great things happening. A lot of goals met this year, and a lot of them I didn't quite accomplish, but
Hey,
nevertheless feeling good about where I am and where I'm headed.
definitely, definitely. I appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit about that. But for those that may not know you, ladies and gents, this will be going on TikTok as well as some of the other stations, iTunes, iHeartRadio as well. And we'll be doing that by way of the Raven International TV Network. But I definitely wanted to reach out to Cortez. So Cortez, for those that may not know you, tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Tony, it's a long story. I'll try to keep it short and sweet, man. But I am fourth born of six children, raised by a single mom on welfare in a small town just outside of St. Louis City called Wellston. And just remember growing up being broke, busted, and disgusted. Mom is ordained minister, so she spent a lot of time in the church and
Praying.
really trying to figure ourselves out as the children. We're that generation who had the key around our neck, man, and pretty much took care of ourselves
Yeah.
while the parents did other things, man. And I just remember as early back as, not even my teenage years, just trying to figure this thing called money out. I knew we didn't have it. There was times where my mom would send my brothers and I to the Rice House that we have in St. Louis. I don't know if you know, but St. Louis is famous for its fried rice.
No, I
But
didn't know
back
that.
then, yeah, man, a pint of rice, fried rice used to cost 90 cents, right? This is for the basic. You couldn't get no meat, no bean sprouts, and none of that stuff in it. But plain fried rice would cost 90 cents. And there was three boys and three girls, and she would send us to go get a box of rice. So the three boys would split a box, and the three girls would split a box. So that meant mom wouldn't eat a lot of nights, man.
Wow.
And there was a lot of nights like that, bro. We spent months at a time with no hot water, weeks on end with no electricity, sometimes burning candles for lights. But I just remember that thinking that wealthy people are not necessarily smarter than me, man. They don't look as good. They don't work harder, but they must know something that I don't know because we struggling and they're not. And as a young kid, I was always fascinated about trying to figure out what they know that we didn't, man. So I started hustling,
Wow.
pumping gas and raking leaves and doing whatever I could do to try to ease the burden on my mom. And that's when I was bit by that entrepreneurial bug as a little kid.
Well, you definitely jumped a little bit ahead of me because I was going to ask you about entrepreneurship because
Hmm.
from that struggle that you had and you as a young child knowing that there was a difference in your bio, you mentioned being a street corner pharmacist. Now we
Hmm.
all know what that is. I know you're not proud
Yeah.
of that, but tell us a little
No.
bit about that and how that impacted your life.
Yeah. Tony, I as I sit back and I think about it, I'll be honest, brother. That is one of the detriments of growing up without a father,
Yeah.
because even though we were poor, I hate to say poor, we were broke. Poor is a permanent mindset. And my
Yeah.
mom always taught me from whom my blessings come from and where my help is. So we were broke, but not necessarily poor. But at the same time, not having a father figure around to say, don't go down that path, even though we didn't have much. I wasn't one of the kids who felt like I needed to be in the streets, right? I came up with some guys who were like third and fourth and fifth generation hustler. Like that's all their
Wow.
family knew was hustle. And to be honest, I just wanted to be respected, right? I had some
Mm.
trauma early on in my life, and I felt like me being shy and reserved, I just thought that, being a D boy on the corner would get me respect. And now I know, bro, what that really was is the absence of a father and then the perversion of the entrepreneurial spirit. I didn't have but one person in my life who I knew was an entrepreneur. That was my Uncle Mac.
Mm.
And instead of my mom forcing me to stay under his wing and do entrepreneurship the legit way, I was able to wiggle my way out of his grasp. And basically, I got recruited into the street life by the illegitimate entrepreneurs, man, and start going down that path. And like you said, that's not something that I'm proud of. But I see far too many young men go that way because of a lack of strong male figures to say, hey, you could, what you are experiencing is an entrepreneurial bug. You
Mm.
want to solve problems for other people and get paid for it. Let's talk about some legitimate ways that you can do that even at a young age. There are some things that we could have done, and there just wasn't a lot of positive legitimate entrepreneurs around to take us under their wing. So that left nobody but those who are doing it illegitimately.
Well, man, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that because that can go in the wrong direction. But I have to point this out, and I've said this before. I see a lot of times people who are in that, that the street corner pharmacist trade. They are entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
They
it's just
and
a
many of
perversion. It's a perverted version of it. That's all it is.
and they have many of them have brilliant minds,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
and it just amazes me how they don't make the connection from the illegitimate to the not illegitimate, but the illegal to the legal.
Mm-hmm.
How is
Mm-hmm.
it that because again, I sit back and I watch, I've seen some of these things happen before in even my own neighborhood, and these guys have many of them brilliant minds because to, especially those that go for long periods of time without,
Mm-hmm.
getting caught. And I'm definitely not glorifying it, but they
Yeah.
could definitely do something legal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. I have to thank God for my wife. Um, Before I got with my wife, we met in high school, and she didn't want any parts of me then. She said I was just a straight up heathen. But years after, graduating high school, we kind of reconnected and, left that life alone. But I always, it was a skill set that I developed because of what makes me good as an entrepreneur today. I actually developed that in the streets, and that's my consistency. I
Mm.
knew how to sit
Good.
still, right? I knew
Yeah.
how to build a brand. Even then, I didn't call it building a brand, but that's what I
Yeah.
was doing even back then. But I'll tell you, brother, when you find a helpmeet, she wasn't going for the foolishness. Like there were times when we
Yeah.
were early in our relationship. Now she brought into our relationship two children from a previous marriage, and I ultimately gave her three more because I wasn't gonna let the first husband outdo me, right? So we ended up with five kids, almost like in a blink of an eye. And there were some times when things got hard, and I was still running with some of my old buddies, man, and I wanted to go back down that path. And she was like, "No, like we're not we're not doing that, right?"
Mm.
So kudos to her for standing on business, as the young folks say. And man, we will go hungry before I let you jeopardize our family and go back down that road. So you got to figure something else out. So that was really the nail in the coffin where I see a lot of guys get sucked back into that life even
Mm.
after escaping. I thank God I escaped without having to tell on nobody. I never
Yeah.
got locked up, didn't have to harm nobody.
Yeah.
other than the petty drugs I was dealing. But and obviously I'm still here. I didn't get killed. I didn't go to jail.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of guys escape and then return, and it's
Yeah.
that return that gets them caught up and in trouble. So I thank God for my wife for not allowing me. She's like, man, I would just leave you. Like, if you're gonna do that, you not gonna be around here and my kids. And
Yeah.
when Mama Bear starts to talk about her kids instead of
Oh
our
yeah.
kids, then you know it's serious.
Yeah, it's real serious. It's time to make a change, man. Well, two things. Another thing I want to touch on, and you've mentioned it twice. You've mentioned God. So that let's back up for a
Mhm.
minute. Your mom, as you said, was a minister in the church. So evidently,
Mhm.
you know God, know of God.
Yep.
How did not having and struggling, how did that affect your relationship or idea about God? Because again, from personal experiences, I've seen if I know that God is faithful, I know He's just, I know He's kind, but then at the same time, I'm struggling. So
Mhm.
where is this rescue that I keep hearing about? No disrespect
Right.
at all to God, but as a
Yeah.
child, I'm talking about as a child, and you hear all
Mhm.
this. How did that
Yeah.
impact your life, and how did you respond?
Tony, I think because we lived in a community where everybody was poor, everybody was on welfare, you really didn't feel poverty. Now that I look back at it and the way I raised my family and some of the blessings that we've had, we didn't feel poverty in the way that we actually experienced it because everybody was in the struggle at the same time. Yeah, we had a couple families who their parents worked and they had some amenities that we didn't have access to. But Tony, we lived in for a long time in a building in a house that was on the border of being condemned, and we didn't know it. The landlord was just slumlord, and we had rats and roaches and mice, and like I said, no electricity, no heat. But we were so authentic and so I don't know what it was, but everybody wanted to be at our house, bro. Like, and we didn't have nothing. And I'm like, man, I want to spend the night at your house. Y'all got hot water down there. I can take a hot shower. So with being without wasn't the same as I look back at it. And the way my mom explained it to us was that, what's for us is for us.
Yeah.
And God is going to bless. And we never went hungry or starving
Yeah.
where, it was a lot of last minute God come through and the blessing showing up right when we needed it. But because everybody was struggling the same way, man, we actually didn't feel it in
Right.
the way that it was actually experienced. So she just taught us that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called to His purpose. And she
Yeah.
taught us that we are called to His purpose, and eventually everything's going to work out. Now, that was my feeling as a child and a teenager. As an adult, my feelings are a little bit different
Yeah.
because there was no teaching about God's wisdom as it relates to business and finance and how we should have been moving in our lives to acquire wealth and pursuing God's kingdom and using our gifts to make room for us and all of those things. So that's where the conflict for me came in as an adult. But as a child, I just knew everything was going to work out. I didn't necessarily know how, but I just knew because it always did.
Yeah, well, one thing, and I'm sure as a child, you really don't feel the pressure of life. I mean, of course, you're going through the struggles, but you don't really know what the real pressure is until you become an adult and you have a family, and things are a
Hmm.
whole lot different then.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
again, I could tell you my own story. But that being said, let's fast forward. How long have you been in marketing and specifically marketing online?
I tell everybody that I've been doing it successfully almost 10 years. Next month,
Okay.
I'll celebrate my 10-year anniversary of not only making money on the internet myself, but helping hundreds of other people make money online. But about 5 years before that, about 2009, 2010, I did the same thing that a lot of people do. You run to the internet and you type in how to make money online, right? And you start going
That's
down that
probably how
rabbit
we
hole, bro.
connected. That's probably
you,
how
you start going down that rabbit hole, brother, and you try a lot of different stuff. You download all the ebooks, you attend the webinars and the workshops, and I just started acquiring skills because I didn't have any money to really invest in myself, but I was learning and I was growing, and ultimately one thing happened, a series of events happened that really made all of it come together for me. And I think this will help your audience because if they can get this, if they can force this to come together for them, it will make sense. My skill set uh, fell in line with a business opportunity where my passion was also equally as strong. When I was broke trying to figure out how to make money online, I was with this organization called Empower Network. Dave
Oh,
Sharp and Dave Wood,
I
right?
remember.
You remember those guys from back in
Yes,
the day,
sir.
right?
Yeah.
And they had the blogging platform, and I'm not a writer, but a lot of people in that organization was using videos in their blogs.
Yeah.
So they did a 90-day video challenge, and I accepted the challenge. And they just said every day, I don't care what you talk about, just go and do a video. Turn
Video.
your phone on and record a video. And I was working in corporate at the time, so I would eat my lunch at my desk because I needed the full 30 minutes to go and record my video because I was so bashful. I would have to walk 10 minutes away from my building. It took me 5 minutes to record the video and then 10 minutes to walk back to my building. So I didn't make it the whole 90 days, but I got to about 35 to 40, somewhere around there. But I
Mhm.
got comfortable enough with being on camera and speaking and communicating a message. And shortly, a couple years after that, my love for financial education and my willingness to want to help our people better understand finances led me to a network marketing opportunity called My Econ, where the whole
Oh, yeah.
premise was to teach wealth building principles, starting with a home based business that allows you to lower your taxes. You take the
Yeah.
tax savings, use that to get out of debt. Once the debt comes down, now you got money to invest, and they taught investing strategies and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I feel good about teaching that. I'm doing it. I can turn a video on, and I started doing video presentations. And in 2015, brother, it really took off for me, and I fell in love with the ability to move people with a message that could
Mm.
transform their lives, and that's what ultimately led me down the marketing path to now owning my own digital marketing agency called Local Biz Marketers, and then
Okay.
also running an online coaching program for new entrepreneurs looking to get into the space, and we call that the PLR Profit Society.
Okay. So with that being said, and that you said so much. Number one is the fact that you were not comfortable in front of a camera
Mm-hmm.
starting out.
Mm-mm.
You basically took information that was already out there or strategies that were already out there and started to model those strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Would,
Yeah.
would that be safe to say?
Yeah, basically, I learned the strategies and I learned how to put them back into the world, into the online space in my own words. That's
Yeah.
that's what I did. And just to backtrack a little bit, it's funny that we're here and I literally make money using my voice. And this is something that God has been trying to tell me for
Hmm.
years, brother. And when my wife and I got together and I got out of the streets and she helped me get cleaned up and all that kind of stuff, one of the first jobs that I got where I worked for a long time, and that was how I took care of the family, put us in an apartment, and all that stuff. Was in a call center.
Hmm.
In that call center, I was responsible for taking 125 to 150 calls every single day.
Wow.
And when I tell you, brother, looking back on it, they say hindsight is 2020. Every single day between those 125 or 150 calls, somebody would say to me, brother, anybody ever told you you got a voice for radio? Anybody ever told you you sound a little bit like Denzel? Man, you sound a little bit like Morgan Freeman. Man, why are you in a call center? You should be doing something with your
Wow.
voice.
Wow.
I had no idea
No
what
idea.
that meant. Now, a few years before that, I'm in New Orleans working with my uncle. He's teaching me the trade of the electrical trade. He's an
Hmm.
electrician, and he was teaching me this trade. And we used to ride in the mornings going to jobs, and we used to listen to Tom Joyner Morning Show.
Oh yeah.
Tom Joyner Morning Show had a contest every morning where they would have someone call in and they would give them, I don't remember what the prize was, but you get a prize if you can talk for 30 seconds without saying
Hmm.
And I would practice that every day. I would try to do it without saying in the car. So all of those things, brother, was leading me without me knowing it to this voice that I have as the gift that God gave me to make room for me. But I look back now and say, man, God, you're so faithful. You were preparing me even back then, and I had no idea what you were preparing me for.
Man, let me tell you something. You're gonna probably you might find this hard to believe, and it's kind of crazy. Now I'm a pastor. Of course,
Mhm.
I preach from a pulpit. I speak all the time, but I've always been very reserved. I'm outside of the pulpit. I don't talk a whole lot.
Mhm.
And when it comes to doing this right here, and I just
Yeah.
told somebody this the other day, I'm more comfortable doing interviews where I can actually play off of people as
Mhm.
opposed to doing
Mhm.
what you do and
Yeah.
go in and just talking to the
Yeah.
camera for 30, 40
Yeah.
minutes. I can go
Gotcha.
to the pulpit and preach to a congregation, but in front of a camera, and I do it from time to time simply because I have
Mhm.
to. But
Yeah.
for a long period of time, that's not me. So I'm amazed to see your growth and progress over the years that I've known you.
Yeah. Yeah. It is one of those things that I had to get used to that very quickly. When I did that 90-day challenge, I remember not really knowing where the camera was on the phone. And
Yeah.
then you get caught up. So, like, my camera right now sits a little bit above my laptop. But if I want to see you, I look down. So now you can notice a difference between me looking at my laptop versus me looking at the camera. So I had to train myself to, know how to do all of that stuff, man.
Well,
But
you just outed me, man, because my I know I'm supposed to be looking at this camera right here, but I'm
yeah,
but I'm looking at you. So that's that's part of the practice. I see that camera. I'm supposed to be looking
yeah,
to the camera, but I find myself looking directly at you, and people probably see that. But anyway,
yeah. It takes some getting used to, brother. It takes some getting
yeah.
used to.
But that's why then I love doing the podcast where there is no video. But
Yeah,
anyway, that being said, I'm gonna ask you two
yeah,
things real quick.
yeah.
How has social media benefited you?
Oh man, we out. That might be a whole other episode by itself, brother. So I told you that when my early success came through network marketing,
Yeah,
right? Now, a lot of people don't like the industry, network marketing, those
yeah,
pyramid
yeah.
businesses where you have to recruit and that kind of stuff. But I had been in the network marketing space since I was about 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't have success until 2015. So I struggled and bumped my head in that industry for 15 straight years. Now,
15 years.
the beauty in that is the one thing that I love, love, love probably most about network marketing, even apart from the money, is even though I was at one time I was with Amway for a long time, I wasn't
Oh,
making
I
no money.
remember
But you
Amway.
know what Amway had? They
Yeah.
had the Book of the Month program and the Tape of the Week program. So I'm learning personal growth and self-development, and I'm not making any money in the business, but I'm getting promotions on my job. I'm getting leadership positions. I'm getting raises. People are starting to see the growth that the books and the tapes, the confidence and all of that stuff is coming. But when I tell you, brother, this Cortez Hustle that you see on this screen is a different being than Cortez Springer out and about in the real world in a room full of people. I won't talk to nobody. So, so imagine being in a business where talking to people is the business.
Is the business. Yeah.
That's why I didn't make any money for 15 years, Tony.
I get it. I get it.
But the internet comes around. I get to pull my camera out. I get to talking to a machine where can't nobody talk back. And then I get to upload that thing and just put that out there and do one every day if I need to get the following and all of that kind of stuff. That, my friend, was an absolute game changer for me. And that's where I absolutely fell in love with learning how to. What I had to do, though, was create an alter ego, right? Cortez Hustle, you met me as a financial health mentor. Like those are completely different beings than who I really am. They are authentic to who I am, but I had to create somebody, an entity that is not afraid of this camera, not afraid to talk, not afraid to mess up, not afraid to be judged about my hairline or my crooked teeth or any of that kind of stuff. And that's what I had to do. And I built a Facebook page of over 120,000 people, man, just showing up every day and sharing from my heart.
Well, brother, I definitely want people to be able to follow you and learn more about you and what you're doing. But two things real quick. Well, I guess I just bring it together. Of course, you're on Facebook. What other social media sites? And I know TikTok is one of them, but what other social media sites can people find you?
So my primary social media platform, if you want to call it social media, is YouTube. And I'll tell you why. Because I mentioned that page that I built on Facebook, over 122,000 followers. And I don't know what happened to where Facebook stopped liking me, but they took that page from me. Now, I can't post to that page. I can't share anything, but the page is still up and ads are still running on that page. So Facebook is still making money from that page. I just can't make any money from that page. So I learned a valuable lesson in that. Make sure that when you are creating your brand, that the number one focus should be on list building. Your job with all of these platforms, wherever you show up, is to get people off of the platform into a list that you own and control. Because had I had your own website, email list, something that you actually can control, because you know that they're talking about banning TikTok, right? I just got to my 1,000 followers on TikTok, right? That could go away. But you know what they can't take from me? My email list, where people are used to getting an email from me every day to learn about my show or my products or my services. So YouTube at Cortez Hustle is the primary. The second reason that's critical is because YouTube is a search engine. Facebook and Instagram is what's called interruption marketing. When you're on Facebook, you're not necessarily looking for a product to buy, or you're looking for somebody to pitch you something. Most of the time, you're just trying to escape for a minute. And I show up on your timeline saying, hey, come to my webinar. Let me teach you something. I've interrupted what you were trying to do. Your intention is different. On YouTube, you're looking for an answer. So you're closer to a buying decision on YouTube and even on TikTok when people are searching. And it becomes easier to offer a free giveaway to initiate the relationship and then continue to build that email list and build that relationship and make money. So YouTube is my primary. TikTok was going to be my secondary, but if it's going away, then Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with YouTube.
Well,
But
and the reason I asked that because I didn't know which one was your primary, and that was going to be the thing because the video I threw up was actually on TikTok, and I just asked somebody the other day, and I'll ask you, um, if they do ban TikTok, do you have a plan? Now, imagine again, you just admitted that YouTube is your primary, but for people who are looking at other platforms, and you just basically gave the answer, have
mhm.
yourself something that's I guess separate from the platform.
Yeah, and I would even tell you what my plan is with TikTok for these next 20 days or whatever it is. I'm actually running paid advertisement on TikTok
Mm.
to a free giveaway to build my email list with as many people as I can extract from TikTok in these next 20 days so that I can continue to build a relationship with them if TikTok goes away. But at the end of the day, you want to determine where you're going to show up and show out and let people know that you have the answer to their problems, whatever that may be, whether that answer is to make them smile and laugh with your personality, whether that answer is an expertise, you've solved a problem for yourself that you now want to charge other people to solve for them. Consistency is the name of the game. So wherever you go from TikTok, just show up every day as your authentic self and offer solutions to people in a genuine way that builds and nurtures a relationship and ultimately have a system in place that allows them to jump off that platform, even if just for a moment, to
Mm.
give you their name and email address so that if whatever platform you move to, if that platform goes away, you at least have a way to connect with your tribe.
That's great. Well, guys, listen, Cortez. For those that are following, I'll actually be sending this out. But is there anything you can offer for free that anybody may connect with you? I know you have um, great resources and tools, and
Yes.
being a marketing expert, I'm
Mhm.
sure that's something you can offer to the people that would like to be able to connect with you and
Absolutely.
share more of your information.
Absolutely, Tony. I have a free online community called the PLR Profit Society where I help people start making money online with done for you digital products. I feel that is the easiest and simplest way to make a few dollars online just to see if you would, just to get the taste. And
Mm.
ultimately, if you like it, then you can go down that rabbit hole and build a whole business and brand around it. But if they go to cortezhustle.com, they can join my community for free. I have open office hours Monday through Friday around 11:35 a.m. Central Time every day, and we have live coaching calls of and anybody in my community is available to hop on those calls and ask me questions to get help with their branding and their marketing. So cortezhustle.com, join the free community, and I'd be happy to see you there.
Well, definitely, brother. I definitely appreciate you. I got to get into that community and begin to learn a little bit more. Again, you've been one thing that I know about you. You've been consistent. I mean, you've been.
Yes, sir.
I've seen it for years, and that's what pays off. I'm a little ADD, so I jump from everywhere. but but consistency
Well,
pays
you
off.
consistent with your fitness, brother.
Oh yeah, well
Uh,
I've got to
and,
do
and
that.
yeah, man. So that just let that spill over to your marketing efforts.
Definitely, definitely. Any last things you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners?
No, I would just say this, man. Every single one of us have a gift from God, and He gave us that gift so it makes room for us. If you're
Mm.
passionate about a thing, pursue it. If you think about it like this, Tony, we don't know why we're passionate about a thing, we just are. Here's
Mm.
my theory. I think our passion is supposed to lead us to our purpose like a homing beaker.
Mm.
And where you find your purpose, you'll also find your provision. A lot
Mm.
of us are chasing the bag, but if we allow our passion to lead us to our purpose, the
Mm.
bag will ultimately chase us.
Well, guys, you heard it from the man himself, Mr. Cortez Hustle. Guys, I definitely appreciate you. I'll be actually, like I said, posting some more content, putting Cortez's information in the description. but follow him on TikTok at Cortez Hustle
Yes, sir.
and YouTube at Cortez Hustle.
Cortez Hustle. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gents, appreciate you for coming in. Thanks a lot, Cortez, my friend. I definitely appreciate you, brother, and I definitely will be reaching out to you soon.
Thanks for
Hey,
having me,
man.
Tony, man. It's always a
All right.
pleasure.
All right. Y'all have a blessed one.